President.
The Democratic whip.
Mr. President, I listened carefully to my friend John Thune, the Republican leader. We have known one another and served together for many years. We have worked on issues together, and I think we will continue to. Though we disagree on many political things, I respect him and I hope he respects me. He made a plea to the Senate that we have more voice votes, more unanimous consent requests for nominations. He went through the history of this chamber, and certainly it bears repeating, and it's certainly true that in the past there were many more voice votes than there are today. What's the difference between a record vote and a voice vote? Time. Time is so precious here. We only meet for a few days each week and a few hours each day. You need more time if there are more roll call votes. It takes anywhere from 20 minutes to 2 hours to complete a vote. A voice vote, of course, is instantaneous. And so the leader, Republican leader, Mr. Thune, is asking for more and more voice votes, and he recounts the history of this chamber to make his case. There's one chapter that he failed to admit and failed to concede, and that was what happened in the last year of the Biden administration. Was then chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, and I'm a member of that committee to this day. One of the most important responsibilities of a president is to fill the 90-plus U.S. attorney spots all across the United States that represent the Department of Justice. These are men and women who are on the firing line in the enforcement of law, and it's critical that these appointments be confirmed as quickly as possible. Under the administration of President Donald Trump, in his first term, all 90-plus U.S. attorneys were approved by voice vote, all of them. There was one that became controversial and was later reconsidered and removed, but all of the 90-plus U.S. attorneys, Trump's first term, voice vote. What happened when Joe Biden defeated Donald Trump, and he did defeat him, and became president of the United States and tried to do the same thing, to fill up the spots of U.S. attorneys? We were doing quite well, following the precedent that had been around for years under leaders of both parties, and following the precedent of President Trump's first term. We were doing quite well until one senator objected, and in the Senate that can stop the train. That senator was J.D. Vance of Ohio. He came to the floor and made it clear that he would no longer allow us to have a unanimous consent to move to a voice vote on U.S. attorneys. The vacancies in the positions for U.S. attorney had to be filled by record vote, just what Senator Thune is objecting to these days. He insisted, J.D. Vance of Ohio, U.S. Senator, insisted that no voice votes for U.S. attorneys from that point forward would take place. I went to the floor on 6 or 7 different occasions begging him to reconsider that position, saying to him, the day may come when your party, the Republican Party, has a president who wants to fill U.S. attorney slots by voice vote, and we'll have the J.D. Vance precedent that says you can't do it. He didn't care. He wouldn't budge. He stuck to that position. As a consequence, almost 30 U.S. attorneys under President Joe Biden were not approved. So I'd say to Leader Thune, be honest about your analysis of the situation. If we are going to do something by way of reform, I'd like to be at the table, particularly when it applies to U.S. attorneys and judges. But we should do this in a fashion that's fair to both political parties. And I might also say that though the U.S. attorneys are virtually subject to a blue slip, it means that some of them will receive the approval of Democrats. We have that case right now. I can point to states, specific states, where Democratic attorneys have given a blue slip approval of U.S. attorney nominees. That, to me, is an important factor that should be brought into this conversation. And I might also say that from the Republican side, if they will sit down and be fair with us in terms of Democratic appointments, we need to be fair back to them. That, I think, would mean turning our back on the J.D. Vance precedent that we are living under ever since. So I hope that we can do something positive for the good of the Senate.